The Sharks win the Celebrini Bowl thanks to a third period collapse.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team, the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, probably part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, even when they lose four straight, even when they have a 4-point gap between them and the Blackhawks, even when they're in the driver's seat to have the best odds to grab Macklin Celebrini. So if you want to be an everyday, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And the Sharks snatching defeat from the jaws of victory with a 5-2 loss to the Chicago Blackhawks, thanks to a pretty epic third period collapse where you gave up 3 goals in 90 seconds. We're also going to talk about Devin Cooley's NHL debut and Ozzy Wiesblatt getting loaned to the Admirals, what that means for Ozzy and his future in San Jose. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Man, there was, again, I don't want to focus the entire show on Twitter reaction, stuff like that, but there was a lot of Sharks fans worrying after the first period, but not this guy. I knew this team could dig deep and pull out this win. By this win, I mean this loss. So let's start with what kind of the big picture, what this means for the Sharks here, as they have a 4-point cushion between them and Chicago. Go right now with 15 games to play, for 15 games for Chicago, or for the Sharks, 14 for Chicago. And again, I know it's a lottery, et cetera, and there's always going to be those people who say that no matter what, the Sharks, Gary Bettman is not going to allow the Sharks to win the draft. I say tanks are built on hope. This is why you lose all those games. And the NHL loves storylines. All sports love storylines. And Celebrini coming home to San Jose is just too good of a storyline to pass up. But a couple big things with this, not only with this, is one, regulation win for Chicago. So if the points are tied, the first thing that is, if both teams right now this season, if they have the same amount of points, the first tiebreaker is regulation wins. Chicago has 14, San Jose has 12. Check. That's a check for the Sharks, as they have that tiebreaker. The second is regulation and non-shootout wins. So just kind of overall wins. Chicago has 19. The Sharks have 16. Check. Third tiebreaker in this is in the head-to-head wins themselves. The Chicago Blackhawks have beaten the Sharks 2 out of 3 times. So even no matter what happens when the Sharks in play, when they play again on next Saturday in San Jose, boom. Chicago has, so the Sharks have right now the 3 tiebreakers in hand, even if the points are all even. So the Sharks put themselves in a good spot here, again, as the season continues to wind down, to at least have the best odds to draft Macklin Celebrini in this game. So yes, there'll be plenty of time to talk about Celebrini and stuff, but I think the other big story coming out of this game, though, was Devin Cooley, of course, the Bay Area Los Gatos native, making his NHL debut for the San Jose Sharks, his hometown team he grew up, his favorite team growing up. Amazing, just kind of amazing, nice little, again, NHL loves its storylines. But Cooley played really well. I was really impressed with him. I thought, again, I was not expecting much. No offense to Devin Cooley, but again, career AHL guy, never had a chance to play in the NHL, right? If usually by the time you're 26, if you have not played in the NHL, it's probably not going to happen for you. But congrats to Devin Cooley. And I thought he played really, really well in this game. And the only reason that this thing actually, like, if it wasn't for Sharks collapses, I thought Cooley played well enough to win this game. So what does this mean for Cooley going forward? He is I assume once Blackwood comes back, I assume Cooley is the entrenched starter or backup behind behind Blackwood. So it'll probably be a Blackwood Cooley combo for the end of the season, with Krona, who is on emergency recall, getting sent back down into the AHL. And I assume Blackwood will eventually get the majority of the starts here. But even in this game, right, he made 26 saves on 30 shots in all situations, 4 goals against. And again, that flurry of that kind of collapse during the third period was a lot of Devin Cooley kind of getting hung out to dry. Expected goals against was 313, goals against was 4. So, not too bad. 867 save percentage, 422 goals allowed, 3 high danger saves on 5 hidden danger shots, 13 mid danger saves on 14 mid danger shots, and 9 for 10 on the low danger there. But Cooley is a guy who if I was the Sharks, I kind of would look into maybe keeping around for a little bit. Again, his contract this season, he's on a vet min type of deal right now. He'll be a free agent after this season, but looking at like the Sharks goalie prospects, E2 Makanemi is an RFA. Romanov is is signed for another year, and of course Magnus Cronus is signed for another year on his ELC. But like, if you're not sold on E2 Makanemi, who has not been able to stay healthy, having Devin Cooley just as like your third goalie, so you'll have presumably going into next year, Vitek Vanacek and Mackenzie Blackwood as your starters, as your NHL player goalies, Devin Cooley as your third goalie, and then you can have that way you can allow Krona and Romanov to kind of marinate a little bit more in the AHL. Again, one start, et cetera, and maybe Cooley gets an opportunity elsewhere. He puts some good tape out there to end the season, and maybe he gets an opportunity to go play elsewhere. That's totally a possibility as well. But you could just see how much it means to him, I think, to be a Shark and, kind of represent the San Jose Sharks. And I thought he played really well. Again, I had like no expectations for him. I was expecting, I was expecting an onslaught, even though the Blackhawks are, again, they're a bad team as well. But I thought Cooley played really well. He looks calm. He looked poised. The athleticism just off the charts, right? Just how well he's able to kind of get from one post to the other, using his big size, using the athleticism. I think there's something there that if I was the Sharks, I would continue. I think he's a player worth investing in as you're still trying to kind of figure out your goalie pipeline. But again, I think hats off to Cooley, earned this chance. He mentioned he's been working on this for 14 years or whatever, and like got his shot. And I think he made the most of his opportunity tonight. And I'm proud of the way he played. I mean, I think he represented the Sharks really well. And again, it's really weird as a Sharks fan to like kind of have competent goaltending at times. Again, is Devin Cooley the future of the franchise? No, but I think he can be a really solid kind of your next maybe Aaron Dell type of figure, where comes in if you need him to play his spot NHL games here and there. You can play spot NHL games if you need him to play some games in the AHL. I think he can do that as well. So, and again, you're kind of seeing what the Sharks are wanting with those kind of big athletic goaltenders. Look at Mackenzie Blackwood. I think Cooley kind of fits that same profile as well. So we'll get into kind of the numbers of the game here and kind of talk more about that, talk about the third period collapse and kind of how it was building towards that for the Blackhawks here, and look at all the lines. So we'll get to that here in just 1 minute. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood is the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you can contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most out of your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. Now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs, 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% match on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker dealer. All right, let's dig into the numbers of this game. So 51-26 of 5v5 time. And again, the Sharks really, I think the story of this game is how the Sharks started out this game really well. And then things kind of fell apart for them in the third period. And again, these are two very bad hockey teams, right? But the Sharks, the first play of the Sharks was, they were forechecking well. They were creating opportunities. They were creating sustained offense in this game. And then things just kind of fell apart. And like even the second period where the Sharks still had a pretty good period offensively, but it was just so many turnovers and just mental mistakes. And maybe it's the fatigue of a long season, second night of a back-to-back with travel, all these things. You start to kind of see this stuff build up, and then the wheels come off. And again, where you give up 3 goals in 90 seconds, poor Devin Cooley just did not have a chance there. But for shot attempts, we had 51-45 in favor of the Sharks, 53.13 to 87 in for favor of the Sharks. Shots for at 5v5 was actually 25-24 in favor of the Blackhawks. Scoring chances for 26-24 in favor of the Sharks. High danger chances 11-7 in favor of the Sharks. 2.71 to 2.16 expected goals for in favor of the Sharks. But that first period, 1.13 expected goals for to 0.43 expected goals allowed. That's where, again, the Sharks did a good job establishing their game in the first period. Blackhawks kind of a little bit slow getting going. But then that second period, Blackhawks had 1.55 expected goals for to 1.29 expected goals or for the Sharks there. And again, very back and forth, but you can kind of see the cracks where just a lot of turnovers, and that was leading to a lot of rush chances for Chicago. And that's been kind of the bread and butter of their offense this year, is scoring on the rush and playing off the rush, because they're just talent poor, where they cannot, much like the Sharks, right, can't have sustained offense. A lot of it has been off the rush. And then the third period, it was actually 0.28 to 0.18 expected goals for in about 13 minutes of 5v5. Again, the Sharks pulled their goalie the last kind of 5 minutes of it. Plus, you had a power play opportunity in there for the Blackhawks. But it was, again, just that collapse there. It was just, those goals could have been spread out more, right, from the Blackhawks, especially the way they were playing. But I think that's just kind of the culmination for the Sharks of just, when things go wrong, they go catastrophically wrong. And how many times have you seen the Sharks give up one goal, and then less than 2 minutes later they give up another goal? And that just happened, except for 3 goals this time. So as for the lines in this game, so we had Zetterlund, Granlund, and Klim Kostin, who all on the first line. Cunnin, Eklund, Zadina as your second line. Bortolo, Sturm, Bailey, and then Barabanov, Carpenter, LeBanc. The Granlund line played 11:43, 16-10 shot attempts, 6-3 actual shots on goal. Did have the goal for 1.19 expected goals for to 0.13 expected goals allowed, 11-5 scoring chances, 7-0 high danger chances, and then 2-3-2 zone starts. This line made up for the bad day they had against Columbus on Saturday night. If you missed my Saturday night episode, go check that out as well. But I kind of broke down that game as kind of deeper there. But Klim Kostin, man, Sharks might have found something with him. He's got 4 points in his 4 games since getting traded, 2 goals and 2 assists. Great job of Granlund behind the net, just kind of waiting. Kostin just kind of goes in and finds a little bit of that quiet ice, and then bam, puts it home. Looks like looking like a potential nice contributor for the Sharks. 6'4", big guy, soft hands. That was what we heard from the Red Wings, and the Red Wings, who are stumbling now, bet they would like to have a big guy with soft hands who can score on their team right now. But anyway, Luke Cunnin, Eklund, Zadina played 10-27, 6-10 shot attempts, 4-8 actual shots on goal. Did give up a goal, 0.16 to 0.65 expected goals for, 3-6 scoring chances, 1-1 high danger with 4-2-1 zone starts. And again, this line has been kind of hit or miss most nights, and so I thought Eklund continued to make some nice plays, but I think this line definitely had a little bit more of a quiet night. But we've seen, one, Quinn doesn't really have a lot of options, but 2, Quinn just keeps riding this line because I think he likes this line. So if Quinn likes him, then we'll just keep going with that. Bortolo, Sturm, and Bailey, 9-16, 10-7 shots attempts. Actual shots is 1-3 in favor of the Blackhawks. 0.07 to 0.26 expected goals for, 4-3 scoring chances, 0-1 high danger chances, 4-3-5 for the zone starts for that line. Bortolo, I think he made some, definitely made some nice plays. Saw some creativity from him. Wasn't as good as the last game that we saw. Again, I think he's played a little bit better games, but again, I think you're seeing him play a more complete 200-foot game, which is what's going to keep him in the NHL. Right? We know about the offensive talent, but again, I'd still like to see Bortolo, Serrano a little bit more scoring talent. But again, it is what it is right now. Then we have Barabanov, Carpenter, LeBanc, 7:52 time on ice, 6-8 shot attempts, 6-4 actual shots. Did have a goal, gave up a goal, 0.41 to 0.3 expected goals for, 3-5 scoring chances, 1-2 high danger chances with 2-1 zone starts. Carpenter revenge goals is becoming a thing. I think he has 5 goals this year, and 4 of them are against former teams. I think Shang Peng tweeted out. Yeah, way to go, Ryan Carpenter. But that goal is really nice teamwork from all of them, where LeBanc does a good job of kind of getting the breakout started. Barabanov kind of shoots, but is able to create a nice rebound off it, and then Ryan Carpenter just bangs it home like there was no way he was going to miss that. So I think, that the line's been playing pretty solid. It's still crazy that Barabanov and LeBanc are like fourth liners, but again, it is what it is. So for the defense, for their shot at, or at least, for their Corsi 4. So leading the way defensively was the Burrows Ferraro combo. Ferraro had 27-16 shot attempts for 62.79, 23-15 for Burrows at 60.53. McDonald Addison was next. They had 17-15 shot attempts for McDonald, 53% Corsi, 15-14 for Addison, 51% Corsi. Addison had like 1,000 sticks break in this game. Then Vlasic, 15-43 at 10-14 for 41.67. And then Henry Thrun 10 to 16, 38.46 Corsi 4. But again, I know the shot attempts aren't in favor of Thrun's game, but I still like what I've been seeing out of Thrun. I think he's becoming a little bit more comfortable playing in the offensive zone, making stuff happen there. Again, I know the shot attempts are always in his favor, but I still like what I'm seeing out of Henry Thrun. So, yeah, game where the Sharks had probably gotten like one more goal in the first period or early second. They probably put the Blackhawks away in this game, but that's what bad teams do. And so, but we talk about if the Sharks draft Macklin Celebrini, this is gonna be one of those games you look back on and go, things worked out for the Sharks there. So we're going to talk about Ozzy Wiesblatt and him being loaned to the Milwaukee Admirals and kind of what that means going forward. So we'll get to that here in just 1 minute. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on the big upset or you're going chalk with the number one seed, it's time to go dancing on America's number one sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 on bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. All right. If you missed it over the weekend, Ozzy Wiesblatt was loaned to the Milwaukee Admirals, which is, I'm not going to lie, a little weird. So the actual quote from the San Jose Barracuda Sharks, who, let's see, I think it was, so Joe Will of the San Jose Barracuda, Ozzy is an important player in our prospect pool, and loaning him to Milwaukee will allow him to gain some valuable playoff experience. Barracuda general manager Joe Will said in a team statement. This was on San Jose Hockey Now. Okay, so I think with this, you have to kind of look at Ozzy's development, right? So Ozzy Wiesblatt, of course, former first-round pick in the 2020 draft, was thought to be a bit of a reach at that time, right? Ozzy goes, plays for Prince Albert for a couple seasons, has some pretty solid, campaigns with Prince Albert, but he kind of tears up his shoulder to end his Prince Albert career. Last year in the Barracuda, his first full season, he's been, he struggled to kind of see ice time in the beginning of the season, right? And you look at other guys from that 2020 draft, like Tristan Robbins, Daniel Gushin, Thomas Bordeleau, even Brandon Coe and him kind of both in the same boat where they struggled to see ice time at the beginning of the season because of, they just weren't ready to play AHL games. Wiesblatt, second half of the season, gets more ice time as kind of the team gets thinned out, earns some more ice time and starts to look pretty good, right? You kind of see him going on a little bit of a scoring run. He's kind of still playing those bottom 6 minutes for the Barracuda, right? While you have more skilled players like Gushin and Bordeleau and some of these other guys, William Eklund, et cetera, et cetera. You have some of these other guys playing these top 6 minutes, right? This season, kind of the same thing, kind of struggles to see ice time, deals with a knee injury, right? Where he loses a bunch of time because of a knee injury and still just struggles to kind of get on the ice. And, he has, so this season, Ozzy's got, I think he's got 3 goals and 8 assists in 34 games this season. And again, I know point production isn't everything, but it's maybe this is one of those try to get him a fresh opportunity where maybe it's him and the coaching staff or whatever it is. It's just not working right now with the Barracuda. And this is maybe giving some go let him play on some winning hockey for a little bit, maybe kind of go boost that confidence, be part of, again, this Barracuda team is awful. Right, just as bad as the Sharks. This Barracuda team is a very big disappointment this year. So maybe this is just the Milwaukee Admirals are a good team. They're going into the playoffs. They're one of the top teams in the AHL. They are dealing with some injuries right now. Maybe this is a kind of a win-win situation. At least, here's one of our guys who's kind of struggling right now, needs a bit of a confidence boost. Go play with Jesper Wallstedt or Jesper Wallstedt. Go play with Jasper Weatherby, who you played with for last year. Like maybe just a bit of a confidence boost. But as a Sharks fan, you had to be worried that like your first round pick is just getting like surpassed in the prospect pool. Like when was the last time we talked about Ozzy Wiesblatt on this podcast, right? It's not looking good for Ozzy to become like an impactful NHL player. And there's still a lot of times, and maybe he's just a late developed bloomer or whatever it is. But, even looking at that rest of the 2020 draft class, Bordelot, who has picked a couple picks behind him, playing in the NHL, looking like he's starting to kind of figure out his NHL game. Daniel Gushchin, who I know had a really strong first half of the season, kind of dealt with some injuries, got hurt right before the All-Star break and been a little bit slow coming back from that, but still like you've seen Gushchin kind of like take over games and be a focal point on the Barracuda and be a really good player and provide some, something in the NHL. Like you've seen Gushchin have those type of flashes where you can see, okay, I know what Daniel Gushchin is going to be. Daniel Gushchin is going to score some sick goals. Maybe not going to be the best player in the defensive zone, but you know what? We'll put him on the power play. We'll put him with some bigger, maybe a big center. Like we can see the path forward for Daniel Gushchin, right? Tristan Robbins played in the NHL. I know this year's been kind of a wash with him because of injuries, but I think Tristan Robbins is like going to be a really good like 4C for you type of player. I think he's going to be defensively responsible. I think he's going to like be able to drive play, maybe bottom six role, but you can see the role with him, and you've seen him kind of work towards those steps. And Ozzy, I think he can be like a super high energy guy, but again, like it's getting very early, getting very late, early, whatever the phrase is. So Ozzy's got another year left on his ELC after this year. And you wonder if the Sharks, if they try to make a splashy move or something, or maybe it's one of those, we'll trade you our problem child for your problem child, but something isn't clicking between San Jose and Ozzy, and whatever it is, and maybe he just needs a fresh start somewhere. And maybe this is him playing with the Admirals can kind of reinvigorate and give him that fresh start he needs. Because I still think he can be a very useful piece for a team. Right? You've seen him. He can become a forechecking monster. He plays like a bulldog when he's on. But the thing is, he's just having trouble staying healthy, and two, he just can't really get on the ice right now. We'll see with Ozzy. And again, I hope this is it. I hope this is the light turns on. He plays for some winning hockey for a while. The light turns on for him. He comes back, has a monster summer, comes back, just has a great training camp, etc. Like puts kind of this kickstarts things. That's the hope. But again, we got to see something soon out of Ozzy. So that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow with another draft profile. Our good friend Josh Tessler joins, where we talk about, you guys will find out tomorrow. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.